Hello there, friend, and welcome to day 2 of the self-care challenge. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset and a few mindset changes that you may have to consider in order to, one, make self-care a norm in your life, and to also understand what self-care is and is not. So, today's challenge is really just going to be you exploring your thoughts and what you really feel about self-care, so you can explore how you can change that. So first of all, what is mindset? Mindset is really a collection of thoughts and beliefs that shape your thought processes. And so I talk a lot about the model by the Life Coach School with Brooke Castillo, and she basically has this idea that circumstances are neutral. So like this pen is blue, that's a neutral circumstance. What I think of this pen is a thought, and that can be negative or positive. And the thought affects how I feel. And so what I think then causes a feeling, the feeling causes an action, and the action causes a result. So if I think this pen is blue and it's the best pen I've ever had and it makes me feel happy and I use it to write and I just love how my handwriting looks, and the result is that I'm excited about what I wrote. I know that's a very rudimentary example, but I just wanted to walk you guys through the process. So why does mindset matter? The average human being thinks 50 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. Now, there's 24 hours in a day, so you do the math and think about how many thoughts you think about every single day. So the reason I covered mindset today as a second part of our challenge is because I want you to be comfortable with the idea, especially as moms, that there's room for you in motherhood. For you. There's room for you in motherhood. You matter, and you can love you and then also love your kids. And we have been made by society to believe that we have to give so much of ourselves and to just withhold, love for ourselves. And what I want you to think about today is what you think about when the word mindset comes. When somebody says, when somebody says self-care, what do you think? What is the thought that comes to your mind when you think about self-care? For me, when I think about self-care, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to make room for that in my life. And so I make decisions based on how I'm going to show up for myself so I can show up better for my family and my husband and my daughter. And that helps guide how I make that decision process. So some of the things I wanted to talk about today is the idea of allowing ourselves to feel in our emotions, because those thoughts again guide how we feel, but allowing ourselves to feel. So if a negative emotion or feeling comes up, just allow yourself to sit in it, but then think about how you can move forward from that emotion instead of suppressing that emotion. I know with toxic positivity culture, there's always this whole, well, just be, grateful and just be happy. But I want you to consider the idea of allowing yourself to feel your feelings. I also want you to think about the idea of mental health as self-care. And so the idea of protecting your emotions and protecting your feelings as part of your self-care practice. So if you are in a situation where you feel overwhelmed, having the ability to work through that and having the ability to process that information will then give you basically the momentum to move forward in that situation. The other thing that I want us to think about is asking for support. And this can be so hard for moms because we have this idea that we have to have it all and we have to be doing it all and we have to be doing it perfectly all the time. So asking for help is so vital because it allows us to communicate our needs. And if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what matters to you, just walk through that and make your needs known to your spouse, to your kids, to your family, to your workplace, putting yourself first on the front burner, and instead of constantly just putting yourself in how you feel in the back. So I want you to think about taking ownership of your mind, taking ownership of your time, taking ownership of yourself, and taking ownership of your relationships. And today's challenge, I want you to sit down and think about what you think when the word self-care comes to mind, and what do you believe self-care is. And I also want you to think about how you feel when somebody says the word self-love and compassion, and ask yourself if you're showing up for yourself with self-love and compassion. And why is it so easy for us as moms to do that for other people but not for ourselves? So I want to end today's challenge with just sharing a few ideas of what self-care can be. Self-care can be forgiving yourself, taking a step back, spending time alone, putting yourself first, asking for what you need, setting boundaries, and saying no. Just think through that, what I just said. I know it was quite a bit, but I want you to think about that. And then what I want to do today is give you 3 ideas of micro self-care. One is journaling. Just take 5 minutes and just journal your thoughts and how you feel. And even maybe just do a model where you're like, okay, the circumstance, you don't know what it is, but maybe today you're feeling overwhelmed. And then maybe write down what circumstance led to that overwhelm. And then how did that, that made you feel overwhelmed? What are the thoughts that were coming through? What's the actions that you can take or didn't take, and what the results are? And then maybe do an alternative model where if you had different thoughts about the situation, what would be the outcomes? The second one I also want you to think about is scheduling maybe like time for yourself, maybe 20-30 minutes a day for yourself, and for me, sometimes it's like I get home from somewhere and I just sit in the car. And like, I don't know why husbands don't understand that that's self-care. But just like little micro self-care activities to help you get through the day. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.